There is a sentence the outdoor industry would prefer you never read. It was written in 1987 by a Polish-Canadian wilderness survival instructor named Mors Kochanski, the man who literally coined the word bushcraft. And it goes like this: the more you know, the less you carry. Kochanski built his entire career on that idea, and the $61.7 billion outdoor gear industry has spent the decades since making absolutely sure you never internalize it. Channels like Primitive Technology have quietly demonstrated this truth to hundreds of millions of viewers, and yet the industry keeps growing. Here are 7 ancient survival technologies your ancestors used for thousands of years that modern outdoor brands have quietly replaced with products you now pay for instead. Friction fire. The bow drill is not a curiosity from a survival TV show. It's a documented tool with a 7,000-year-old physical specimen unearthed in China in 2025, and evidence of friction fire use going back 200,000 years. Ancient Egyptians used bow drills. Native Americans used them. Inuit communities in the Arctic used them. The hand drill, a simpler, instrument-free sibling technique requiring only a straight spindle and a fireboard, extends that same friction fire principle even further back and requires nothing but 2 sticks. The technique generates a coal through controlled friction between 2 pieces of wood, which is then transferred to tinder and blown into flame. It works reliably for anyone who puts in the hours. The modern replacement is a Bic lighter, which costs about $2, or a pharaoh rod, which costs $20. Neither teaches you anything. The lighter runs out of fuel. The pharaoh rod stops working when your hands are too cold to grip it. The skill never fails the same way, and yet the survival fire starter market generates hundreds of millions in annual revenue because nobody is teaching you the alternative. Natural debris shelter. Archaeologists found a 23,000-year-old hut floor at the site of Ohalo II in Israel, with organized grass bedding laid around a central hearth. Hunter-gatherers were building functional, insulated shelters from available materials long before synthetic insulation existed. A well-constructed debris hut can maintain survivable warmth in near-freezing temperatures, using nothing but what the forest provides. The modern replacement is a tent, a sleeping bag, and a sleeping pad, with a combined cost that easily exceeds $500 for anything approaching real performance. None of those products teach you to read a landscape, identify shelter sites, or build from what's around you. They teach you to pack more gear. Celestial navigation. Roughly 4,000 years ago, Polynesian navigators began crossing the Pacific Ocean without a single instrument. They memorized the rising and setting positions of over 150 stars, read ocean swells with their bodies, observed bird flight patterns and cloud formations, and consistently located islands separated by thousands of miles of open water. This was not primitive guessing. The tradition was preserved by Mau Piailug, the Micronesian master navigator from Satawal, who carried the unbroken lineage of this knowledge into the modern era and passed it directly to Nainoa Thompson. In 1976, Thompson revived this tradition and sailed from Hawaii to Tahiti using only traditional wayfinding. No GPS, no compass. In 2022, Lehua Kamalu completed the same 2,400-mile voyage in 17 days using the same methods. The modern replacement is Garmin. Their outdoor segment generated $526.6 million in revenue in the third quarter of 2024 alone, a 21% increase over the previous year. The GPS industry exists because celestial navigation was allowed to disappear. Water purification by boiling and charcoal. Ancient Egyptian purification techniques were documented on the tomb walls of Amenhotep II and Rameses II, dating to the 15th and 13th centuries before the Common Era. Charcoal filtration was practiced in India as early as 2000 BCE. Maya engineers at Tikal constructed zeolite filtration reservoirs over 2,000 years ago that removed harmful microbes and dissolved toxins from drinking water. boiling remains one of the most effective water treatment methods known, capable of eliminating virtually every biological pathogen with nothing more than fire and a vessel. The modern replacement is a Sawyer Mini or a Life Straw. Both are excellent products, but they cost money. They can clog, they can freeze, and they create a dependency. The knowledge to purify water through boiling costs exactly nothing and requires no supply chain. Natural cordage. For tens of thousands of years, humans across every inhabited continent made rope from what surrounded them. Nettle stalks, dogbane stems, yucca leaves, sinew, plant fiber twisted using a simple two-strand reverse wrap technique. Norse Vikings rigged ocean-crossing ships with it. Polynesian navigators used it. Every indigenous culture on Earth developed it independently because it was essential. Instructors like Ray Mears, who trained directly under Kochanski and has spent decades documenting these techniques across 5 continents, argue this is among the most transferable primitive skills still teachable today. The modern replacement is paracord, which is a useful product but creates a mindset of dependency on manufactured materials. Birch tar. This one deserves more attention than it gets. Birch tar, produced by the dry distillation of birch bark, is the oldest synthetic material ever identified by archaeologists, with the earliest examples dating to the Middle Paleolithic in Europe, over 100,000 years ago. Otzi the Iceman, who died in the Alps around 3300 BCE, carried hafted tools bound with birch tar. The Star Car site in England yielded birch bark rolls from approximately 10,000 years ago, stored specifically for tar extraction, used to bind stone arrowheads to wooden shafts. It's a waterproof, heat-resistant adhesive produced from a material found across the Northern Hemisphere. The modern replacement is repair tape and epoxy kits sold specifically to outdoor consumers. Edible plant knowledge. Native American tribes used willow bark as a natural analgesic, harvesting the salicin compound that forms the chemical foundation of aspirin. Cattails were a complete food source, with pollen in spring, roots year-round, and young shoots in early summer. Anthropologist J.P. Janulis identified this as the single biggest lost skill in survival. Not any one technique, but the loss of place-specific knowledge about what the land around you actually provides. The modern replacement is freeze-dried food from Mountain House, iodine tablets, and calorie bars, all of which require purchase, packaging, and a supply chain. Here is the number that ties all of this together. The global survival tools market was valued at $1.3 billion in 2025 and is projected to reach $2.6 billion by 2035. The bushcraft market alone adds another $1.2 billion. Every one of those dollars represents a skill that humans once possessed for free. Kochanski said it in 1987, and the outdoor industry has never wanted you to hear it. The more you know, the less you carry. The gear industry is $61.7 billion large, precisely because that sentence has been forgotten. The technologies on this list are not ancient history. They are the original outdoor equipment, and every generation that grows up without them is a generation that spends more money instead. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.